Mark Shaw was one of the most celebrated photographers of the 20th century, famed for intimate studies of the Kennedys and nearly 30 Life magazine covers. After Shaw's untimely death in 1969, his work lay untouched for nearly 3 decades until his son David took possession. It was a treasure trove. Thousands of film rolls, including many never published photos for the fashion house Dior, featured in a new book, Dior Glamour. They are available today from the online luxury marketplace 1stDibs. And Andrew Wilder, curator of Dior Glamour photography by Mark Shaw, is here to tell us more. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Anthony and I both couldn't stop looking at these images. They are beautiful. I mean, the book is just, it's a piece of art in and of itself. How did they get these images?
The situation is when Mark Shaw passed away suddenly in 1969, and this is after having had a huge career as a fashion photographer here in New York, his entire archive was put into art storage for 35 years. And over the course of the past 10 years, as you mentioned, David Shaw took over his father's archive and began the process of curating through the mess that was left. And within the archive, which is an absolute treasure trove.
It was literally under the West Side Highway, which is right over here near us, for a long time, right? And a lot of stuff wasn't marked or labeled or anything.
It was here in art storage in Manhattan, and there was very, very little labeling. Basically, Mark Shaw's first wife had the good sense to understand when Mark Shaw died that the work needed to be saved.
She had the good sense to pay that storage bill
for 35 years.
I want to take a look at some of these images. We have a model in a red tulle dress. There's something so beautiful about all these because they're so candid and yet elegant.
Yes.
What's the story behind this one?
The model in the red dress, well, this really illustrates how closely Mark Shaw was trusted within the house of Dior. This is Christian Dior doing a final fitting on the model Victoire in 1954 for their Spring-Summer Couture collection. So the most tense moment before the actual couture show, and Mark Shaw right there, front and center, in the inner sanctum of Dior. So
Dior was written, that wasn't photographed that often, was it?
Oh no, he was a very, very secretive man.
Let's look at a gray. There's a picture of a woman wearing a gray ball gown we wanted to take a look at.
Okay. Well, this is perhaps one of the only color photographs that exists taken inside the private home of Monsieur Dior. This was taken in 1953 in the winter garden of his apartment in the 16th arrondissement in Paris. Again, in his private home, so we understand how strongly Shaw was trusted.
I love these portraits, but there's a really good candid one. It looks like the models in this next one are leaving. They're all wrapped up. What is the backstory behind this one?
Okay, this is shot right out in front of the Christian Dior flagship on Avenue Montaigne in Paris. So these it's illustrating that the collections were so secretive that the models actually had to go under wraps through the streets of Paris to have photographs taken by Mark Shaw.
Dior was afraid someone would steal his design.
Well, they all did.
Yeah.
You know, the Life magazine, which Mark was primarily shooting for, they hung on every word of Christian Dior for the direction of fashion throughout the 1950s.
Right.
So, I mean, and of course, Life magazine was read by nearly every home in the United States.
Right.
So the circulation of Dior's work was huge.
We want to get very quickly to the foreword was written by Lee Radziwill.
It was.
Jackie Kennedy's sister, who's a personal friend of Mark's.
Yes.
A great photograph of her here. He was kind of the unofficial family photographer of the Kennedys, wasn't he?
He was hired in 1959 by Life magazine to shoot a photo expose of Jackie Kennedy as Kennedy was running for president. And those photographs have become completely iconic. And of course, in the time, he became friends with Lee Radziwill as well and took lots of photographs of her. And she was kind enough to write the intro for our book.
I think so many people remember him as a family photographer, so this is really nice to see what an artist he was. Andrew Wilder, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.